Hey guys, you're watching PhoneArena's in-depth video review of the T-Mobile Comet, which is available right now for the contract price of free or $200 no contract. And for those looking for an entry-level Android smartphone, this might suit your needs. The T-Mobile Comet is actually manufactured by Huawei, and design-wise it's pretty typical of any other touchscreen phone in the market. It's fairly compact, coming at half an inch thick, so it's not that bulky at all. And on top of that, it does make it feel somewhat lightweight. It's constructed out of plastic all around, at least it's a fairly durable feeling type of material. But unfortunately, we can't say too much about the construction. As you can tell out of the box, we did notice the front plate coming out here, so we're not really too thrilled about that. Aside from that, it's nothing really spectacular about the handset just because it looks like anything else out there in the market. Turning on the handset, you're going to be greeted to its 2.8-inch QVGA capacitive touchscreen, so that's 240 by 320 pixels, and support for 262,000 colors. Unfortunately though, it does suffer from some poor viewing angles, and the colors do look a little bit washed out. Additionally, the text is a little bit harder to see just because of the size of the display combined with the resolution. You'll really need to shield it away from the sun when using in outdoor conditions. Right below that, you have your touch-sensitive buttons. You have the back, menu, home, and even the search keys. We didn't have any problems as far as accidentally pressing them. And below that, you have your send and end keys and also a directional pad with a good, rather large-size selection key. Makes it very easy and also offers a really nice tactile response. Left-hand side, you simply have the volume rocker. The bottom here, you have only the micro USB port. While on the top, you only have the 3.5mm headset jack, a rather small and tiny to feel out dedicated power button. On the rear, you have the 3.2 megapixel camera. The notch is here for the speakerphone, and when you remove the back cover, it's going to give you access to the SIM card slot, the battery, and the micro SD card slot. Seeing that it's an entry-level Android handset, we're pretty surprised by the speed it exhibits. It's running Android 2.2 Froyo, pretty stock experience, and it's powered by a 528 MHz processor. As you can tell, it's fairly responsive as far as moving about the home screens here. Even loading up the application panel, it does a good job with scrolling, and we're pretty satisfied with its speed. The Gmail experience on the T-Mobile Comet is no different from any other Android handset out there in the market, so luckily it offers you all the rich features you'd come to expect. Some of the other notable applications preloaded with the device is, of course, you have Facebook for your social networking needs, as well as Twitter. It's available on there. You have Telenav's GPS navigation for true turn-by-turn directions, Google Talk for your instant messaging needs, and of course you have the Android Market, which allows you to download additional third-party applications onto the handset. Even though it's running Android 2.2, the web browsing experience is fairly limited just because it lacks multi-touch support, so you're going to have to rely on the on-screen controls to zoom in. You can double tap a specific area to zoom in all the way, and it resizes the text for you. Unfortunately, the QVGA resolution makes it rather difficult to make out the smallest of text, and on top of that, it doesn't have full flash support, so you don't get that true desktop-like feel. Luckily though, the scrolling is pretty good. As you can tell, it's pretty smooth, and for anyone who's an entry-level user, it should satisfy their needs. The music player is pretty much the same, as it displays the album cover, track information, even the on-screen controls. As far as the audio quality from the speaker, it is very loud, but unfortunately though, it does seem a little bit screechy. If you plan on watching any videos on the T-Mobile Comet, you're going to have to resort to watching some low-quality ones, like the one we have here, which is encoded in MPEG-4 320 by 240 resolution. As you can tell, it's running fairly smoothly with not that much evidence of any lag, but when we did try loading up higher resolution videos, like a VGA one, it did stutter and slow down. We aren't too particularly fond of the experience from its 3.2 megapixel camera just because in outdoor conditions it lacks any fine details, so it does make it look a little bit softer in tone. Color reproduction is a little bit off just because it has a blue tinge to the overall shot, and it's more evident especially in indoor conditions. Low lighting shots though, there's some noise that's evident, and the overall look and quality is just something that's not spectacular. Video recording doesn't get any better with the handset just because they're very low quality, a lot of pixelization going on, and it's extremely jerky, so you're not going to have a satisfying experience with it. Calling quality isn't the best on the T-Mobile Comet, even though the earpiece itself is pretty strong in tone, so you're going to definitely hear your callers. Unfortunately, there is some static sound that can be heard in the background and our end, and voices do have a tendency to sound a little bit distorted. On our caller's end, they did say our voices did sound hollow, and when we switched to using a speakerphone, even though it produces some really strong tones, it's very crackly and distorted sounding. During our time using the handset, we didn't notice too much of an issue as far as signal strength, as it retained a good amount of bars in high coverage areas. Battery life seems to be average with the T-Mobile Comet just because we managed to get out at least a solid 8-hour work shift without having to recharge the battery. If you're a heavy user, of course you're going to want to constantly recharge it, and it's probably a good idea to connect it to your charger before you go to bed. Now, for something that's priced for free with a contract, you really can't go wrong with the T-Mobile Comet just because it offers all the rich features of any other Android handset on the market, although it might be even limited in certain aspects. For basic or first-time smartphone owners, it's not going to cost you too much money to get you up to snuff with Android. And for parents who have kids who want smartphones, it also makes for a great solution. But if you want to get something a little bit better, a little more features, you might want to take a look at the LG Optimus T for $30 on contract, and it does offer some richer features than this. So if you'd like to learn more about the T-Mobile Comet or for all the latest cell phone reviews, news specs, and information, you can check us out at PhoneArena.com.